We call it people technology.
インテル入ってる。
Well, we're all set for match number 9 of IPL 2021. This is Maruti Suzuki presents ESPN Cricket for T20 Time Out, powered by Intel. Mumbai Indians, Sunrisers, Hyderabad, two formidable sides, at least going into every IPL season. A bit of a hot and cold start to this edition. Both of them have played RCB and lost. Both of them played KKR. Mumbai managed to win that. Sunrisers haven't. So they go into this game as the only team to David Warner's side without a win. Everyone's played 2 games each. Should make for a cracking contest at the Chepauk. Good luck to what we expect at the Chepauk after a couple of days off for the Chidambaram Stadium. But Ian Bishop and Sanjay Manjrekar are pitch doctors, amongst other things, for the next half an hour. And they're also going to be reacting to toss news, which for the first time in this year's IPL, Sanjay, has seen a captain win the toss and decide he wants to have a bat first. That's what Rohit Sharma and the Mumbai Indians are doing.
Did you say which doctor, sir?
I said pitch doctors. I would never.
Pitch doctors, yeah.
Yes. And Bish is, just like that, Bish is good to be back with his erstwhile colleague in the commentary box. He's missed Sanjay, hasn't he, Bish?
See, Bish said in our previews as well that, this kind of a pitch, you would want to bat first. But having said that, this is not one of those Chennai pitches of old where CSK played or India played, where it would rapidly deteriorate. But batting first, makes for good sense because you'll get just the better batting surface to bat on. David Warner, I don't know whether he was being honest about saying, I don't know what I would have done, but I think the right call by Rohit Sharma.
Yeah, it is interesting. When David Warner was asked at the toss, he said, I don't know. And they won both tosses. They decided to chase. We were discussing for the Sunrisers in the last game that we were on, Bish, that they were the kind of team that liked to bat first and set the pace and then have to defend with a strong bowling attack. This, in some ways, just takes away that call from his hands. Maybe a good thing for a team that's looking for their first win.
Well, it is what it is, to be honest, Raunak. And I hear often people say, well, it's a good toss to lose. And that only happens because people are afraid to make a decision. As a captain, you shouldn't be afraid to make a decision. Whatever decision you make, you stand by. But that's taken out of his hands in this game. So they're going to have to bat smart to achieve whatever Mumbai set them, whether it's a big total, medium total, or small total. And they're a good bowling unit. So first come, first serve. Sunrisers Hyderabad have to go out there and bowl to their optimum. They're very, very good at it. Mumbai needs some of those big guns to fire and to play some of those match-winning innings, which they are so capable of. The one thing I want to see this season, Sanjay and Raunak, the one answer I want, Mumbai are talented. Are they as hungry, having won back-to-back championships, and desperate as they would have been, say, a year or two ago?
Okay, interesting. They've made one change, have Rohit Sharma's side. Marco Jansen was a bit of a surprise selection to start with. On the first game of the opening day, Adam Milne hadn't completed his quarantine protocols. So you could say maybe that's why they've gone with it. They gave Jansen one more game. But that's changed now. Adam Milne plays. He was handed a cap a little while back. And so the fast New Zealander does find a place in the 11 is the only change that Rohit Sharma makes. There could even have been a case, Sanjay, where we were discussing yesterday that if Mumbai wanted, they could have even played 3 overseas players and played either a Piyush Chawla or a Jayant Yadav looking at the pitch. But Adam Milne gets a game for Marco Jansen. Your thoughts?
Yes, Marco Jansen, just a couple of overs in the last game for 12 runs. So somewhere, I guess, Mumbai Indians wanted the services of Adam Milne the moment it was available. Mumbai Indians know that their spinners slightly sort of weak area, the middle phase, so they want to have their fast bowling of high quality. Although Krunal Pandya has done well on this pitch, Chahar got 4 wickets in the last game, but it's something that Mumbai Indians have historically done. They've always wanted a lot of high quality in their seam bowling, and that's the reason the moment they had the chance, they've got Adam Milne in the playing 11.
He's known for his pace, isn't he, Bish? Adam Milne. Now, overseas fast bowlers have had to bowl differently at the Chepauk. Is Milne the sort of bowler that might get some success here?
If he bowled at his best, he's a guy who's played international cricket before. He's been playing in the BBL prior to this and international cricket. So I think he's a skiddy type of guy. And with enough experience now, even given his history of injuries, that you would bank on him in your team once he's available.
Okay, now the bigger conversation to have really is the Sunrisers Hyderabad. David Warner lost both the opening games. He said he's been in this situation before, most recently last season, where they did make the playoffs. They were also in this situation in 2016 when they went on to win the championship. And David Warner therefore says, we've done this before and we made 4 changes. And now we'll confirm what those 4 changes are, because Warner said we'll just wait for the team sheet. But there are some very curious calls that are made. Natarajan has been dropped and Khalil Ahmed gets a game. Jason Holder has been dropped after 1 game. Mujibur Rahman gets a game. So Mujib and Rashid will feature together here. And they've also made a couple of changes on Indian personnel. Riddhiman Saha has been done away with. So Bairstow, you'd assume, will take the gloves and could even potentially open with David Warner at the top. There's a game for Virat Singh, the 23-year-old Jharkhand batsman who was highly rated, picked up for decent money a couple of auctions back. And the left-arm spinner of Abhishek Sharma is also included. So Shahbaz Nadeem also gets just the 1 game. Wow, so that's a lot to take in. Let's go bit by bit. And let's start at the top, Sanjay. Riddhiman Saha goes out, Bairstow takes the gloves and presumably will open the batting. Do you like that one?
Yeah, keep those the team out there on the screen for me to
Yes.
sort of look at it properly. Danny was so kind to David Warner not to ask for 4 changes. I remember Inzamam was asked 4 changes and he named 2 and then started looking into the sky, hoping that from somewhere some kind of divine intervention would come and let him know about the 2 other changes. They never came and they let it go at that. So. Yeah,
okay, I'm with you. So let's go.
Yeah, the one that I don't understand is Natarajan going out unless there is some kind of fitness issue, and Khalil Ahmed coming in, because Natarajan is your star T20 bowler. A couple of games where he hasn't set the stage on fire, so that's hard to understand. Saha experiment. I guess they've said enough of it. So this is a team that is looking to quickly address issues, unlike Punjab Kings that we talked about, who want to give a longer rope. So Saha goes out, and Bairstow and Warner. That's nice to see. It's a good pair. While the pitch is good, we start off an inning, the ball is coming out of the bat. So your 2 good players at the top, Bairstow in tremendous form. I would have liked to fit in Kedar Jadhav the moment they had that option of getting a batsman in. But they've gone in with Abhishek Sharma and Virat Singh that I have not seen before. So I guess early calls at looking at new talent start of the season.
Okay, right. Let's go through Bish with some of those calls. Let's start with the Mujib one. It's a very interesting shift of balance. Jason Holder gets 1 game. We think he does both roles for the Sunrisers, Bish, but they've decided that they want to try Mujib, who you presume will take the new ball in a little while from now. What do you make of that one?
That surprises me, to be honest with you, because Jason, I thought, bowled well in the last game. He didn't fire with the bat, but 1 game, unless he's not fit either. I'm assuming that he's fit. I think that's a little bit harsh on him. They obviously wanted to get Mujib in the team, and I can understand that with the spinning conditions here, but it's a bit hard on Jason.
Okay.
Seam attack, Raunak, look at the seam attack of Sunrisers Hyderabad.
Yes. Yes.
Sandeep Sharma also just got the 1 game and he's been booted out, didn't play the last one. So when you look at the seam attack there, you've got Khalil Ahmed, Bhuvaneshwar Kumar, and then you've got Vijay Shankar. Is there any other seam bowler that you see there? No.
No, so
I think they've gone heavily. They've punted heavily on spin.
And is that now a result of what we've seen at the Chepauk, or just the type of bowlers that they seem to have? Vish, just thoughts on whether the Sunrisers going a spin-heavy way is something that comes as a surprise at this early stage of the tournament?
No, it doesn't completely surprise me, because the way the pitches have played of late down there, especially that last couple of games as we watched it, it took a lot of spin. So you can understand the theory of trying to load up. You couldn't leave Rashid Khan out. You don't want to leave Bairstow out if Williamson's playing, and Warner is the other third. He's the captain. So those 3 pick themselves. So it must have been a challenging decision not to play Jason Holder, whether they're looking at Mumbai and they're thinking, well, in these conditions, Mumbai plays seam well, spin gives us a better option. So that must have been the thinking.
Okay, we thought that if they were to do away with Jason Holder, it would be when Kane Williamson was fit and ready, but this is a different balance that they've thrown up. The other call that they could have taken was whether they go for the experience Sanjay of Kedar Jadhav in the middle, or whether they try a couple of young players. We've seen a bit of Abhishek Sharma, who'll also now fill in as a left-arm spinner. They've left Shahbaz Nadeem out after one game too, and they've decided they want to go youth. They want to go Virat Singh and not Kedar Jadhav. Now, what tends to decide these calls for franchises? Is it just a gut feeling? Is it just, all right, I know what I'm going to get from Kedar, let's give the young player a go? Because the middle order is a concern for Sunrisers.
Yeah, that is where I thought Jason Holder could have been used more. If you don't trust or feel his bowling is not the X factor in these conditions, use him as a batsman. Because, Jason Holder averages 33 in test matches in 47 test matches. So he's got some batting there. And if he's told that he's in this team, because we have a dearth of batsmen at number 4, 5, 6, we want you to look at yourself more as a batting all-rounder, I think I would have gone that way. So I had the option of, a fast bowler in the team, because when I look at the seam bowling attack, it looks pretty thin. And one of the three seamers is Khalil Ahmed, who also is, hot and cold when he bowls. So I'm very interested in how this match goes. Clearly, one message that's coming through, Raunak, from these selections is that they have all these young players and they're hoping one of them, becomes like a Bumrah a few years back. Then they find a sensational talent. And that is what I think every franchise is hoping with young talent, that they fast track onto the big stage. But I'm extremely skeptical of having young, raw, talented players in IPL, because the pressure is immense and very few have really delivered when the heat is on.
Okay, now if we are to just take a step back and look at Sunrisers in two games, Bish, they lost to KKR by 10 runs and they lost to RCB by 6 runs. Yes, they're the only team to actually lose both their games, but does 4 changes surprise you, just in terms of whether this is either the team trying to make too many changes too soon, or is it fair given you lost 2, you're playing Mumbai Indians, if you lose this, you're the only team to lose 3. I'm just trying to think of whether these 4 changes give you the impression of a team that's made a panic call.
I wouldn't say panic. I don't think Tom Moody or Trevor Bayliss are guys that panic. I don't think David Warner is a guy that panics. I think some deep thought would have gone into it, because Jason Holder picked up 3 for 30 in that last game. For example, just using an example. And his last over, I think Maxwell hit him for 6 with a full toss, so it could have been much less. So it must have been a seriously deep thinking decision to go that way. I can see the Saha decision. In fact, when I was running through the team before, I thought, maybe Saha could go out. And I did have Abhishek Sharma, to be quite honest, written down in my notes. The others I didn't have. One of the things that I wish if horses had wings? I love to know the changes in a team before the toss. I know why it doesn't happen, because it helps me to frame my questions. And I think a lot of us would have liked to ask David Warner a couple of questions on those changes. Danny didn't have the opportunity because Warner didn't know the 4 changes. So I'm not blaming anyone. But it's so pertinent to have gotten some insight from him about why some of those took place.
Bish, this is the point, interestingly, that we discussed, didn't we, Raunak? Bish, you remember the last World Cup? We were told by the producer to, understand from the opposite captain about the team. So we quickly find out from them what are the changes that they've made, and then forewarn them that we'll ask you about those changes. I think now it makes a lot of sense, because very often we are talking about a player being dropped and wondering why that has happened. And next morning or a couple of days later, you learn that the player was sick or unwell. So I guess that is where we need some work to be done on, changing. That's such a talking point every game.
Let's assume that these are tactical calls, right? In the absence of more knowledge. If we do find out later that somebody was injured, then we apologize in advance. But that's on the franchise now for not communicating it more promptly and clearly. So let's assume these are all tactical calls, right? I'm trying to think of what were the questions for Sunrisers, Sanjay, going into this. One is middle order, concern. They gave away a few more at the death with the ball in both games. That was a concern. And Saha at the top of the order. Do you address all 3 concerns together, or do you sometimes want to go one by one? Let's first change the Saha best to call, then make another change later if need be. Too many changes at times, is that a good thing, or would you rather go step by step?
I don't think, I agree with Bish. I don't think it's a panic call or it's something to address the last 2 defeats. we're going to pick this team and we're going to win this game. I think this is Sunrisers Hyderabad early in the competition, trying to find, what kind of talent they possess. Looking at everybody. I mean, Sandeep Sharma, just the one game, and they must have played quite a few players. And after today, I think it's one franchise that would have played most of their players. So there aren't too many who haven't played for Sunrisers in the playing 11. So that could be the reason. But I don't agree with them heavily going in for spin, because let's not forget, on that Chennai pitch, there have been a lot of seamers who've been very successful, taking the pace off. In the very first game, we saw that happening. So I thought, there was space for a genuine seam bowler like a Jason Holder, who has the ability to hit the deck and take the pace off. So, yeah, I don't think it's a result of the two results of the matches that we've seen from Sunrisers Hyderabad. I think they're just testing waters.
Mujib is a different kind of spinner, though, isn't he? But she's not traditionally the spinner that you use like other spinners. He essentially bowls a lot in the power play. He's almost a substitute for a new ball bowler. Does the reasons of picking Mujib sometimes are they a little exclusive to other spinners?
For me,
Yeah, for you.
sorry if I'm to understand what you just said, because I just had a little break in transmission there where I missed about
No
6 or
problem.
7.
So I'm basically saying that Mujib, sometimes you pick a lot of spinners and you've got to bowl them
Yeah.
at similar sort of phases. It looks like Mujib, and I know Tom Moody said this on our network last year, that he believes Mujib's not been used well during the IPL. He should be used in the power play, which is where he's bowled most of his time in T20. So when you're picking someone like Mujib, you're actually picking him for the job that Jason Holder does, to bowl with the new ball. But is there a downside to it?
I don't know that a player of Mujib at his very best, and I quote unquote at his best, will ever be a weak link in these conditions, because he can bowl with a new ball for you. He can bowl at the left-handers, get the ball to go one way, then hold it up the next way. He bowls quickly into a length. So he can bowl effectively in that power play. He can come and probably give you some middle overs as well. And if the ball is gripping, even more so. So if he's at his best with Rashid Khan, that's 8 overs of really solid bowling that you could get if he's at his very best. And then you've got Bhuvi, who more often than not will bowl well for you, and you make it up along the way with the other guys. So I can see the challenge that they could possibly pose against this Mumbai lineup. I mentioned the Jason Holder thing only because Jason Holder has been bowling well, but I don't think picking Mujib, you can say, wow, that's a terrible selection. Because historically, even though I think his last IPL wasn't great, but I think generally he gives you good efficiency.
Okay,
Raunak,
now let's
if you don't
yes,
mind,
Sanjay.
just a
Please,
quick thought. Also, I think the selection of the excessive spin that we see and compromise on seam also comes down from the fact that when you look at that Mumbai Indians lineup, you can see in the first 6 overs there's going to be a lot of spin dished out to Rohit Sharma and Quinton de Kock.
Yes.
Because when you look at pace and spin, which are a bowler that you would want to bowl against Rohit Sharma and Quinton de Kock, it would be, spin. And Owen Morgan on that pitch at that venue has bowled 10 overs of spin in the first 15 overs in one of the games. I think other franchises are looking at it. So this is obviously pitch specific, but also opposition specific. Rohit Sharma, Quinton de Kock, and who comes in after that, Ishan Surya. I think their betting spin would be a better, proposition to bowl to these guys than just giving pace to Rohit Sharma and Quinton de Kock. So you'll see, even with the new ball, a lot of spin.
Yeah. Right. Let's just have one last chat on the Sunrisers selection, and they've made us discuss this for far too long, but that's their fault. If it is a tactical call and not an injury call, Sanjay, Khalil Ahmed was their leading wicket taker a couple of seasons back. Then came Natarajan, and of course, has become someone you think you can't leave off the team sheet. If this is a tactical call, what about Khalil, the left-arm bowler, would you pick over Natarajan, the left-arm bowler, from what we've seen, if it is a tactical call and not an injury one?
Well, it's hard to understand that move, because I said at the start that it doesn't make any sense, but only because Natarajan hasn't really made a massive impact in the 2 games that he's played. I just get the impression that they just want to see, the talent on the bench and just, pick out who's looking good. And there might be some feelers coming to them from just watching these guys bowl in the net. So it's a call that I don't understand and I have no answer to have Khalil Ahmed before Natarajan, because Natarajan is just not a one-trick pony.
Yeah. Yeah, Bish, one comment on that before we move on. If it is a tactical call to pick a different kind of left arm seamer, anything at all?
I can't say what has happened behind closed doors because Natarajan just played international cricket and he played international cricket well. What did he do? 1 for 37, bad first game, 1 for 32, solid without being spectacular last game. Khalil was in and out last year, so I can't really add anything to that.
All right. Good luck figuring this out. But Sunrisers have left us with a lot of
Only
questions.
plus.
Maybe they've surprised the Mumbai Indians also, right? So maybe that's part of it. Just surprise the
The
opposition.
only plus that we'll get, because Bish is here as well, is Shiva is doing commentary there, so we'll get him saying Khalil, which I love when he says Khalil. So that is something
Yep.
that we'll get to see. One of the pluses of Khalil Ahmed.
You love it more than me, Sanjay. But let me focus on the rest of what I want to discuss. And one player like Natarajan, of course, we should remember his stock has only been growing in the last year or so for Indian cricket, for his franchise too. And as we do discuss players, you can see the Upstocks Crick Index scroll through your screen where you'll get an idea of which players' ratings have gone up or down based on their performance. So make sure you look at the Upstocks Crick Index, gives you a better understanding of the ups and downs in the cricketing world, just like the trading world. We just discussed Natarajan as one player. Another player, Sanjay, though, Kedar Jadhav has been left out of this team, and you saw it when Sunrisers got him in the last auction. This might be a smart selection. They need an experienced middle-order batsman. Doesn't look like Kedar Jadhav's stock has gone any higher after being, in some ways, rejected by CSK last year.
I just love that scroll at the bottom of the screen. I saw it the first time and I just love it. It gives you a great idea about, the guys who are in form, out of form. I mean, T20 cricket is about the last game, isn't it? Yes, Kedar Jadhav. I would have gone Kedar Jadhav instead of, because I believe a young, raw, talented T20 specialist batsman. I'm not a big fan of that idea. And Kedar Jadhav, who knows, new franchise. I just wonder whether his fitness is an issue. If he can bowl a couple of overs, nothing like it on the Chennai pitch, I would have gone Kedar Jadhav.
A couple of players from this Mumbai team whose stock, I wonder, we're going to see how it grows this season, Bish. And they've won a game and lost a game, but without that middle order power engine actually taking off. Pollard, Hardik Pandya, they've been quiet. Now, admittedly, these aren't the easiest conditions to bat on. But you think it's an important year for players like Pollard? There's a big auction coming up next year. Mumbai have a wealth of options on who they'd like to retain. God knows how many retentions they'd allow. But we are still to see the best of Pollard, aren't we?
This season, yes. He's been batting well back in the CPL at home for the West Indies in that period of time since the last IPL. He was good in the last IPL too. I tend to think that he comes under a bit of pressure very quickly. He's one of the first names. Every time he has a bad couple of matches, his name gets called. And for someone that's been successful for Mumbai in their championship runs for so long, I often wonder why that is. But that's besides the point. I think Sky has been in tremendous form. I think he's going to be an important player because he plays spin so well in this game. Rohit's challenges against spin earlier is a factor that would have played into some of the selections. But I do feel that I want to see if Mumbai are hungry and desperate as they were to win the championship 2 years ago, to win it last year. A three-peat, as I know from NBA basketball, is always very difficult because players aren't necessarily as hungry as they were before.
All right, fair point. We'll see if Pollard's used any differently by Rohit Sharma. He has scored runs in tough conditions, including in Chennai in an IPL final. So proper IPL great is Kyron Pollard, T20 great. We'll see how his stock goes this season, but still very early days. Now, let's take a quick break from the game itself and discuss yes, Sanjay, you're ready for it. I hope you've had a couple of days. Sanjay is terrible at this part, Vish. The testing of IPL IQ. It's time for the Intel fastest time first.
My God.
Such excellent minds of cricket, brilliant broadcasters and voices in the game. And look at how they're worried and fearing these three simple questions that I'm going to lob to them now on the Intel fastest fan first. Even Bish is nodding his head. All right, let's see who goes. It's Mumbai Sunrisers related. Question 1 is coming right up. Who is the leading wicket taker in IPL cricket for Hyderabad? Who is Hyderabad's leading wicket taker in the IPL? Sanjay Manjrekar's hand is up. Sanjay.
Oh dear, Rashid Khan or Bhuvaneshwar Kumar. I'm thinking Bhuvaneshwar Kumar.
All right, well done. You could have, if you had gone, Rashid Khan Bish could have been gifted the answer.
I
But-
love this applause track. It makes me so excited.
You're not used to it, no? That's why we've created this so that you feel a little better. For quizzes is what I meant. As a cricketer and all, of course. 112 wickets for Bhuvaneshwar Kumar. And before I get my tongue tied into another knot, let's take our next question for Ian Bishop and Sanjay Manjrekar. Who is the only bowler from Mumbai to take a 6-wicket haul in the league? Now, this happened a couple of seasons back. Ian Bishop remembers it. His hand has gone up. Yes, Bish.
Alzari Joseph.
Well done. It is indeed Alzari Joseph. It was against the Sunrisers.
Was my hand out of frame?
Mine was.
I saw Bish's hand in
mine
your
was.
frame, actually. So,
Was it Hyderabad? Because that is a spell I remember distinctly.
yes, it was Hyderabad. It was in Hyderabad.
Yeah. I can never forget that.
Came in as a replacement player, and then soon after, unfortunately, had an injury that ruled him out of the tournament, but not before he managed to get that 6-wicket haul. It was a record in the IPL for Alzari Joseph. Right. It's one apiece, so it's going down to the wire. Let's go to our final question. And as Ravi says, all 3 results still possible. Who top scored for Mumbai in their previous game against Kolkata? So this is just going a few days back. Mumbai, Kolkata. Yes, Bish, hand is up, I'm assuming.
Sky.
Yes, Surya Kumar Yadav it is. So, but you've done well, Sanjay. You've covered yourself.
No, I'm very happy from within because I got 2 out of 3.
So you're just playing on your own. You just want your own performance to increase, right?
Always I've tried to only prove to myself. I don't care about what the world says. What you say or Bish don't care about.
I agree. I agree entirely. I do care about what you say, though. So I will pick up this conversation with you and Ian Bishop at the end of 20 overs time. Quinton de Kock's already started well. So let's see how many Mumbai Indians get. Big game, you think, for the Sunrisers. So do join us for the conversation on Maruti Suzuki Presents ESPN Cricket for T20 Time Out, powered by Intel at halftime. See you.
We call it people technology.
インテル入ってる